The future of public schools.
Well, schools or public schools are going to be around for many reasons. Number one, a lot of families can't afford private schools, but you have schools that are becoming charters now, and money's going into charters and supposedly better education. I've met people who've gone to some of the worst schools in their neighborhoods who've become doctors, lawyers, entertainers. It depends a lot with the family. I've always said that. People want to say, well, the family's not responsible. You are responsible to help your kid get their education. You're responsible to help them do their homework. You're responsible to make sure they get up in the morning. You're responsible to help them as an individual from the time they start school to the time they graduate from high school. When they're 18, whole different story. Many families are still involved. The public schools, all we hear is fighting, and they don't have this, they don't have it. They get the public funding. They want to withhold the money. There's so many loopholes they have to go through. I think what we need to do is really take a look at how public schools are run, because they're run differently throughout each state, different guidelines, financing. Really look at, are we educating the kids on what they need to be educated? Because a lot of times stuff they're learning doesn't take to what's in the real world. If we really worked with kids in grade schools and high schools and in college, we're going to prepare them for the real world. Not have these courses, they're relevant, but irrelevant to a degree. Take a look at their community, take a look at their culture, take a look at their surroundings, take a look at where they come from. How can you help them do better in that community when it comes to the education? It's difficult. You have the public schools all over. I think they're never going to go anywhere because somebody's got to help educate the kids. But I do believe that the funding has to really change to make a difference, because there's so much money spent on frivolous things that we don't have an opportunity to learn about. But I think public schools are here. I think people are wanting to negate public schools because the teachers are amazing. Then there's teachers who are pieces of crap. The administrators make a lot of money for what? It's a hard question to answer, but I think that they serve a purpose. We could always do better. I hope we can.
Speaking of doing better, is social media good for mental health?
Yeah. It's a double-edged sword. It's good and it's bad. There's a lot of inspirational stories. There's a lot of inspirational people. There's people see somebody that are successful. Now, we don't really know how successful somebody is. Just because they have 5 million likes or they have 3,000 followers or 28 million followers, people follow them for a reason. Think about it. There's some people out there that have millions of followers and they're scum. Guys and girls. They got millions of followers because they're half-assed naked or they're naked. Are they making money? I don't know. So there's good reasons. There's people who tell their stories. There are people who share their stories so people can feel they're not alone. But I think it's really wonderful for the mental health because it gives you an opportunity to see other people like you, learn other stories like you, see advertisement you would never see, have an opportunity to post yourself. You might be a hit. You might like what somebody wants. Whatever's trending, you might be able to trend with them. There's many people on TikTok and on Instagram. No one's ever heard of it. They've built their own following by who they are. I think it's great for mental health because it's bringing a lot of awareness. And at the same time, it's also detrimental. So there's a balance. You just have to figure that out. The hardest part for me is so many young kids are on it. And I'm talking about under 18. How do you balance that? How do you regulate that? That's the tough thing. It's a good example. We're talking about guests on the show. And I was introduced to a young lady about 3 weeks ago. She was on a site that meets people, and she was having a good time, and she was meeting men and going out with men. But come to find out, talking to her, she's 18, and she was in high school. She's been doing this for 2 years since she was 16. She says she's never had sex with the men. That's not our concern. But the bottom line is she was in high school. And I asked her, I said, how distorted is your world that you think now that only people who you can enjoy are people who are going to give you things? I said, because sooner or later, it's not going to just be about giving you gifts. There's going to want more. So we allow that to happen because we don't check. The dating sites don't check anything. They don't care what the age is. As long as you say you're 18, they're going to do it. So I think we really have to look at what happens and how to regulate things. Now, how do we do it? I don't know. Here's the kicker. Donald Trump wanted to ban TikTok. Now he's on TikTok. Think about his mental health back and forth. There you go.